Speaking of the Cubs and the confusing handicapping that is the NL Central, because, man, I keep talking my way into the Cardinals being the best team, maybe the Brewers, as Fangraphs has said. You know, people think the Cubs are going to be better than advertised. I don't know what to make of the division, and maybe Keith Costas can help us sort it out with some thresholds.
Matt's really confused.
Overs and unders, Keith.
I think we all are when we look at this division. We've got some over-unders here. We'll leave the win numbers for later in the spring, let some of these camp battles play out. But focusing on the stars in the NL Central, over-unders, one from each team, starting with the Brewers, guys. Over-under a .301 batting average for Christian Yelich. That was his career mark heading into last season before a down year. Obviously, he was a .290-ish hitter with the Marlins, rather, back-to-back batting titles with the Brewers. So over-under .301 this year for Yelich.
The whole on-base thing, it's hogwash.
Just good old-fashioned batting average.
Yeah, just batting average we're talking here. So if 301's his career average, I'm completely throwing last year out. I say he is over 301 this season, Keith.
I'm with you. I got him hitting over 300, over 301.
Interesting number, though.
I think I'm with you guys, too. 300 is a tough mark in today's game, but in the 320s the previous 2 years, and I'm with you. Throw last year out. He's over 301. All right, second one, guys, for the Cubs. Over under 110.5 games for Kris Bryant. Now, that's just on the roster. The relevance of that number, 110 is the number of games they will play before the trade deadline. So does Kris Bryant effectively make it through the trade deadline with the Cubs?
I say under.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's kind of a hot take.
That's a hot take.
So you feel confident he's going to be dealt?
I do.
Oh, boy. I'll take the other side of it just to be that guy. I say he stays with the Cubs all year and makes Cubs fans happy that he will not be traded.
What's the benefit if he stays and you're not going to lock him up long term?
I think they'll lock him up long term.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Wow. That's a landscape changer in baseball if he goes someplace else.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, H. A couple other players we could throw into the mix. Obviously, big pending free agents with Baez and Rizzo, but most of the trade smoke around Bryant, like I said, H, I think I'm with you. He is on the move sometime this summer. All right, third team, my Cardinals. Over under 199.5 RBIs combined for Arenado and Goldschmidt. Now, a few years ago, with the Coors effect, when they were foes in the NL West, that would seem to be a lock based on these numbers, but check out that note on the bottom there, just 47 combined RBIs in the shortened season. Do they get to 200 combined in their first year as teammates?
200.
That would have been no big deal 20 years ago.
You're probably right. That wouldn't have been a big deal 20 years ago.
20 years ago, that's a lot of ribbies.
Guys are driving in runs. I say they go over that. I mean, how do you not love this combination, this corner combination? Like two of the most elite run producers in the game the last 5 to 10 years, and they're teammates now on a team that's going to be pretty good. I say they go over it.
I say under, and I say under by a lot.
By a lot?
Yeah. Lineup construction. You can't have those guys hitting back-to-back and think they're going to drive in 200 runs. I mean, you're looking at somebody's going to be leaving guys out there. The other guy's picking it up. He's coming up there with nothing on to drive in.
That's a good point.
I can't see it happening.
But I think this, Keith, and you can speak to the Cardinals from a more educated standpoint than we will. I think the way that lineup has been constructed over the last couple of years is that it just changes. I mean, they do not run out the same group all year long. And I think if they start as 3-4, there might be some games where they're 2-5, where they're 2-4, where one of them weirdly leads off. I mean, who knows how they're going to hit all year?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Matty. You look at some of the names being bandied about to hit at the top of that lineup, and you don't know if guys are going to hit first, second, seventh, eighth. So obviously they've got some certainty with those two in the middle, but what's around them? A lot of remaining question marks. All right, fourth one, guys. Cincinnati Reds, over under 19.5 home runs for Joey Votto. Power number's been on the decline, but after he took that little 3-game break last year, he hit 8 home runs over his final 29 games. So does he get to 20 where he hasn't been since 2017?
This is one of the great players in the game.
I agree, and I say he hits over your projected number there, Keith. It's an interesting number to hit 20. I just think he's going to have so much lineup protection around him, full season, ballpark, all those things. Yeah, granted, there's a different baseball in play, and we don't know, by the way, if the Reds are one of the teams that are now mysteriously using a humidor, because 5 more teams beyond the Rockies and Diamondbacks are using humidors this year, and we don't know who they are.
I don't think that's right.
What do you mean?
I don't think you should be able to do that.
Well, we'll know at some point.
The humidor works, I get it, in Colorado. You're at a higher altitude. Everybody else, I'm sorry.
But if the Reds are using a humidor, that changes things a little.
Oh, it does, but I don't think they should be able to do that.
Okay.
You're playing the normal altitude as the rest of the world. Why all of a sudden you got to change your baseball?
Just looking for the same conditions, same baseballs, I guess.
No.
What do you think on 19.5 homers?
I think he goes 20. He can go 20.
Keith, where are you on that one?
I think he goes 20, but anything having to do with humidors, the integrity of the baseball, is well above my pay grade. So moving on quickly, guys, to the 5th over-under. 799 OPS for Bryant Hayes. Talking Pirates all day. Obviously had a huge September. Does he get to an 800 OPS this year? And for a little context, about 45% of guys who qualified last year were over an 800 OPS. So is he basically a top half of the league hitter among everyday players? 800 OPS, Bryant Hayes.
Wow. Yeah, I think he's an elite hitter. No doubt about it. He's going to have some power. Yeah, I'll look at that. I'll go yes.
You know what? I'll say yes on it too, just because I'd like to think that the young man, we know he's good. Maybe it happens sooner rather than later for him because, look, it's not a high-pressure situation he's in Pittsburgh. Everybody's going to have an opportunity to kind of grow and fail and get better. And I say he takes off and clicks immediately. What about you, Keith?
Yeah, I think he's right there. We've talked Vlad Guerrero a lot recently, and he's right about that 800 OPS. It sometimes seems like the expectations are so high for a guy like him that that's almost a disappointment, but pretty impressive. And I think Hayes obviously not quite as touted as Guerrero coming up through the system on a national level, but I think he's ready to step in and be that kind of everyday player around an 800 OPS.
Harold killed me when I told the story about his dad, Charlie, in the cage at County Stadium underneath one batting cage, and Jeff Jenkins, who's a current star of the Brewers, is trying to get swings in, and Charlie had his young son with him, and he said, "Hey, get out of here. My kid wants to hit." His kid was like 3. We booked Charlie Hayes on the show, by the way.
We can get Charlie.
Let's get Charlie on the show. Keith, thanks. Good stuff.